Hey everybody, it's me, RCB, aka Rocket Catchin' Bob. We're here with another YouTube video today. We're going to be going over like limit buys and limit sells. Also looking at some trend lines and patterns. We'll go over like the top 3 plays today to kind of give you guys something you can learn from each play. So you'll be ready for the next. So number 1, let's start out with Ribbit. RIBT was really the top play of this morning. We actually saw this thing go from about 116 all the way up to 183. So 50% gain or 50% move here in the matter of about 20 minutes. So of course, I didn't want to chase this up, but I wanted to get into this play later. So I was going to wait on the dip, I wasn't going to force it, get FOMO, and maybe you get lucky, but most of the time you're not going to get lucky with it. You want to look for consistency. So if we look back, maybe you're in at 180, or like you see this at 183, you're looking for the best possible position to kind of scale into and be safe. In this instance, I'd say it's right here around the 148 to the 150 psychological level. So I'm going to draw a line across there. This is something I actually charted live on Twitch. So if you're part of the community, shout outs to you guys for being here. Make sure you leave a comment below let me know that you came over from Twitch to watch this video. Something else we can see here is, this is at 183, drops all the way back down to about 151. I actually took this trade live on the stream with everyone else. And you guys can also, come over to Twitch and check us out. But look at this. This is so beautiful. So 148 was this previous resistance that it could not break over, but then all of a sudden it did. So now I know that I can use this as a significant area of support and risk off of such things, right? So I actually missed the dip buy here at a 10.01 at about 150, what was it, 4? Because I was going to try to get that and risk off that about 6-cent risk. However, I got lucky. It came down one more time and I could get it a little bit cheaper. I was able to buy 152s to 153s. Now let's kind of go over how I limit bought it. So in this instance, I knew I needed to get in as close as I could to this 148/150 psych level. So I had orders on the limit buy somewhere around 148 to 150s. Usually it's a little bit higher, like 151s. But sometimes I don't get filled. Some of my orders don't get filled. So I actually saw, someone kind of sell it down to about the 151, and then I saw an ask of 152. So at that point, I actually limit bought on the ask of 152. And the reason I limit bought the ask was so I made sure I wasn't going to miss out on the play. I thought there was good risk to reward here. So you buy the ask, but you use the limit buy. So then if you're taking size like I might be taking size, if I was to take buy the ask, but at market, if I market bought it, then I might get executed as high as say 163, depending on how much, how many shares I take, right? So in this instance, I could have taken maybe 100,000 shares, and I probably would have got executed as high as 164, which I don't want to do that. I'm trying to stay small. I'm trying to, keep it really low so I have the better averages. And that's just kind of how I do it. I just try to buy the ask, but I use the limit buy to buy that. And then also, you see how this actually holds this line. So now we're kind of looking at it like this. I'm in at 152. Maybe I got some off the bid. Someone sold me some also. So maybe I got 10,000 shares here or something like that. Let's just say that. And I am working off of 152 average, risking off of 148. If I have 10,000 shares, then I am risking $400. In this instance, I need to make at least how many cent to take this trade? It's a 1 to 3 risk ratio, right? You want to have that. So right now at 152, I need to make at least 3 times what I'm risking. So that's 4 cents times 3 is 12 cents. So I need at least 164. If I think that's attainable, then I take the trade, right? So I thought 100%, it coming down from 183, I could definitely see 164 in the future. And I'd like to see, of course, more, but at least that kind of gets me started with, should I take the trade, yes or no? And that should help you guys out on if you're buying, kind of if you're, the way you're risking off of it. So actually, time goes along, and we see this actually push 170s, and we kind of see this double top form. You know, anytime you've kind of got your 3 to 1, you want to take some off a little bit, be a little bit safer, maybe take 50% off the table, scale out a bit. We kind of come back up to this level again, and we can't really break it. So we just see some weakness there, and we know that if there's weakness here, that it's probably going to scale back and it's going to reset. And of course, that later on, that does happen. It actually, funny enough, that 148 risk, or that 148 support level that we had earlier, it actually respects it so well. Look at this. You know, respect it in all these areas. 1, 2, actually here I would say 2, 3, 4 times, and 5 times. So if you were risking off that level, you had plenty of opportunities to scale out and take money into strength. That's just one good example of kind of how you can play these things and use your limit buys. Now, as far as the limit sells go, let's kind of go over, let's go to a different play. I'll give you a better idea. So VXRT, I think this was a good one. So I'll do both on this one. Let's kind of see what we're looking at here. So we have this big wedge setting up, and it's got some lower highs, it's got some higher lows, looking like a pennant. It actually breaks this 760s. So in this instance, that actually broke out of this pattern. Okay, this is a good pattern too. Breaks out of it, dips back down. We're trying to get in again, back on these limit buys. We're trying to get in as low as we can and keep our risk as low as we can. So we know that this previous area of support is somewhere around the 750s. So we can get in 753, 755, 760s, whatever you feel comfortable with, depending on how much you're risking. This is a good idea. Try to get some. Try it. You know, this thing is consolidating and looking for its next leg up. And 770s breaks, we're going to get a nice push. So congrats to anyone who made that trade there. So that's some limit buys for you. Now, as we kind of move up, this is kind of what I want to talk about too. Let me see if I can fix my chart where it doesn't look so bad. So in this instance that we broke out, we want to look for a trend line now. We're going to look for kind of to draw a trend line across, get a good idea of kind of where we want to risk off of at this point. Since now we're kind of out of the danger zone, so to speak, where 750s would have been our risk off. But now we're looking at what can we risk now? So this is actually keeps hopping up on this trend line, pops up. The further this thing goes away, or like gets kind of extended from this trend line, you should be taking gains. Every single time we actually get this big pop, like right here, we have this big, nice highlighted volume candle here, where it's kind of breaking away a bit, and you can tell that some shorts are getting squeezed here. You want to take some profits into this. So you can put yourself on the ask, say 860, 870, anytime up here as it kind of goes. You can do the same format as my limit buys. You can actually sell to the bid, but as close as you can off of the strength. So let's just take this for instance. Let's just say 860s, right? We see it break 860s. Then we want to try to get out as soon, like this is topping out at 870s. So you actually see that you can get on the bid, say 870s, 869s, 868s, and then this next candle could come in and actually fill you. Obviously, you may not get filled all the way, but if you sell some into the bid as close as you can into this level 875, then at least you get executed a little bit of it. You don't want to, like, you could also put it up at like 880s and 9s and stuff like that. Of course you could. But in the instance that you want to make sure you get filled a little bit, sell into the bid, but not crazy. Don't chase the bid. That's what you don't want to do. You want this strength to come in just like so. You see these big candles come in, and your ask will get eaten right up, and you'll be happy that you actually scaled out there. So you just have to kind of learn how to work with it a little bit, and the more you kind of work with it and know that that short squeeze is coming, you'll see the shorts kind of covering into it because they're getting scared that, hey, this is going to get out of hand. They're in trouble. And they'll just, your shares get eaten up by them covering. So this another good example for you guys on your limit buys and your limit sells. It's not, don't be frowned upon, or it's not frowned upon if you sell into the ask or the bid, but try not to chase the bid. Now, chasing the bid is where you get in trouble. Where, let's say, for instance, you didn't actually make your sell. Maybe you missed out here. And then later on, you kind of get this thing where it's going to 860 and there's this big wall and you can't get out. For some reason, maybe you put your order at 860 and it's not filling you for some reason. Then here comes the trouble. People like to chase the bid down. 850, 848, 840. They're just trying to get out. They're like, oh no, it's gonna just keep going down without me. The problem with what I see is people just don't take their gains into short coverings. They're not taking their gains into this big volume bar. Take it as it goes. You have to really make sure you guys are charting pretty well too, to ensure that you have a good reason of why you think it goes there, 1, and 2, why it could squeeze. So you'll have a better idea later on kind of how these squeezes are like, when the squeezes might actually occur, and then you can actually have your ask ready before it even gets there. So let's kind of move on with this. We got an uptrend forming, right? Uptrend forming. This thing continues to hold it. You didn't have to sell anything off of fear. You just maybe dip ball, and you actually come to this level, right? You see how these two spots touch each other? And it's a good support / resistance area, right? 880s. Now, if this crosses 880s, then you should see volume, right? You should see some nice push, and then you can sell out into strength yet again. Look at this. It passes that high of day. You get a nice squeeze. People push it up, and of course, bam, you're out. Even if you're out early, don't be sad about it. You took your profits into strength, and that's fantastic. Now, there's other ways of going about taking gains, and a lot of this would be, you see this uptrend forming. It's all the way across, right? It keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, but eventually you come to the point where it actually stops. And at that point, maybe you want to take off the rest of your shares, because you say to yourself, hey, this trend has now completely, broken, and it's not looking that great, and I'm just going to take profits and be happy with it. And of course, here at 886, maybe you did that. It consolidates. It tries to make another push later, but then it fails, and you're going to be happier. You're going to be happy either way, because, hey, you got profits. But number two, sometimes these things, you play it perfectly, and you get out here, and then it drops down further, and you're like, thank goodness that I took those profits, right? So this was right here. This is a little bit about trend lines and how you can limit sell. You just have to have an idea of kind of where those resistances are. And of course, if the stock is actually pushing those resistances, you need to see the strength come in on the candles down here on the volume, and then you're selling into that. And that's the best way to play them. What was another ticker for that? It's TIRX. Let's check this out. Yet again, another beautiful pattern. This is kind of like a pennant too. You got higher lows, you got lower highs. This thing finally breaks out of it, right? Maybe you consolidate it and you were trying to buy these dips. It's really tight here. This is like a 50-50. It could have broke down, it could have broke up. But you see here, there's big volume. So of course, first thing you're doing is either, waiting for the, maybe you bought down here, you accumulated, and you're going to sell into strength, right? Now this is a bit early, of course, because it was just at 17, 20, and then it popped all the way up to 1840s. But you're still in the consolidation, like you're still in this form of, with resistance overhead. So if you can squeeze out over the high of day, say 1860s, you should see another pop. And then at this point, I usually tell my students over on Twitch, don't sell into the first pop. Let it consolidate and try to hold that first pop. And then when it gets that second pop, that's where you want to try to scale at. Because that's kind of where shorts are kind of in trouble. And you usually see a nice volume candle there. And you're a little bit more patient. So bang, $17, you held on to it. $18 consolidation. 1810s was your bottom. Gets another pop all the way up to about 1895 to 19s. And that's fantastic. Good job. This is definitely one of the first scale out areas. That's another video, though. If you want to check out scaling, that's fantastic that you guys probably nailed this play. But limit buying and limit selling all comes down to kind of how you want to play things. But mostly, you should always be selling into strength. And buying, you should always be buying into weakness. But here's the thing. Buy into weakness that has a support. You want to be in an area of strength. Like, even though it's weak, it has some kind of stability down in this area. And we chart this stuff every day on Twitch. If you want to come check us out, come over to twitch.tv/RocketCatchingBob. We would love to have you as a student, teach you guys to become better traders. And I hope this video helped you. If it did, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on those notifications because we'll have another video very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching this. We'll be back again soon.